Hello students, welcome to EPG Parshala. I'm Dr. Savita. Today we are going to discuss about the module Need of Tourism Legislation under the paper Tourism and Hospitality Entrepreneurship and Legal Environment. Dear students, after completing this module, you will be able to understand various rules and regulations and laws applicable in the tourism industry, the relevance of certain important laws in tourism, and also know about the present laws, regulations in the country. In India, practically all aspects relating to tourism are governed by a particular legislation which directly or indirectly affect tourism. These laws can be categorized under heads as mentioned in the later part of chapter. Of the below mentioned laws applicable to tourism, explanation of some important laws is given in this module. First of all, we will discuss Consumer Protection Act 1986. Consumerism in India is beginning to establish an identity of its own. Almost 30 consumer-oriented legislations, the impact of new professionals working in the media, the springing up of various active consumer associations have all contributed to the change. The Consumer Protection Act 1986 provides the impetus and an extremely good opportunity for the aggrieved Indian consumer. This act incorporates provisions which ensure consumers with effective safeguards against unfair trade practices indulged in by both the manufacturer and the public utility services. It provides for the consumer protection councils at central level and state level to uphold, promote, and protect consumer rights. This act also provides the consumer complaint redressal system with the district meetings at the district level, the state commission at the national commission in New Delhi and the state level.
Business and commercial laws. Since tourism is an industry, hence the following business and commercial laws are relevant to tourism industry. The Indian Contract Act 1872, Negotiable Instrument Act 1881, Consumer Protection Act 1986, Shops and Establishment Act state specific, Health Protection Act, No Smoking Laws 1996, Sale of Goods Act 1930, the Partnership Act 1932. The National Commission, State Commission and District Forum must decide complaints either inside 3 months after the time of communication received by the conflicting party, where the objection doesn't need investigation or analysis of products, and within 5 months if it needs investigation or examination of products. Depending on the type of liberation requested by the consumer, the redress forum might pass directions for any of the following: either the elimination of failing from the commodities, substitution of the commodities, reimbursement of the cost paid, or grant reparation for the loss of damage suffered. Fine and imprisonment are provided for as penalties if its orders are not implemented. Appeal against the district forum's decision may be filed before the State Commission in a time frame of 30 days. Demand in contradiction of the State Commission's judgment can be filed before the National Commission within 30 days. Petition in contradiction of the National Commission's order can be filed before the Supreme Court within 30 days. Background: in December 1986, 5 major consumer protection legislation, namely the Essential Commodities Act 1955, the Prevention of Food Adulteration Act 1954, the Drug and Cosmetic Act 1940, the Monopolies and Restrictive Trade Practice Act 1969, the Agriculture Produce, Grading and Marketing Act 1985 were amended to empower consumers and listed consumer organizations to file grievances in court. Enactment of the Act 1986 is one of the most important steps in protecting the rights of consumers and promoting a solid and far-reaching based consumers movement in the country.
The salient features of the Consumer Protection Act are: the Act affects to all products and services. It shelters all segments, that is public, private and cooperatives, etc. It enshrines the 6 rights of consumers, that is right to seek redressal, right to consumer education, right to safety, right to be informed, right to choose, and right to be heard. It envisions formation of Consumer Protection Council at the state and center levels, whose chief goal is to encourage and safeguard the right of users. It provides speedy, simple and cheap redressal to user complaints with regard to faulty goods, deficient services, unfair trade practices, etc. Though a 3-tier quasi-judicial redressal equipment at district, national and state level. A complaint up to rupees 1 lakh can be filed in the Consumer Disputes Redressal Forum, that is district forum. Between 1 lakh to 10 lakhs in the Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission, that is State Commission. And complaint above the 10 lakh can be filed the National Consumer Disputes Redressal Commission. The National Commission and state commissions have appellate and revisionary jurisdictions also. The requirement of the Act is non-negotiable in nature. The procedure for filing the complaint in above redressal agencies is very simple. An objection can be filed on a plain paper in text. The assistance of lawyer is not required. There is no fee for filing an objection.
All the requirements of the Consumer Protection Act 1986 came into force on 1st July 1987 throughout the country except Jammu and Kashmir that passed its own legislation in this field. All the states, union territories have constituted the state-level consumer protection councils. The Central Consumer Protection Council was formed on 1st June 1987. The council meanwhile have been constituted on 23rd of August 1990. The National Commission started functioning on 27 December 1988 with Justice Mr. V.B. Eradi as President. Till now, 30 state commissions and 447 district forums have started functioning. Amendments. On 21st June 1993, the government issued an ordinance to amend CPA to make it more effective and people-oriented, which is very similar to the Consumer Protection Amendment Bill 1993. It provides for enabling consumer organizations and consumer to file grievances in respect of goods whose use could be hazardous to life and safety, like drugs and food products being sold after expiry dates, against traders who adopt restrictive trade practices, on behalf of a group of consumers with a common interest, in respect of services relating to housing. Self-employed persons could seek redressal in respect of the goods purchased by them to earn their living. 4. Enlarging the scope of the Act, the redress for have also been conferred additional powers to order withdrawal of goods likely to endanger life and safety, removal of deficiency from services and toward cost, for a limited time frame of 1 year from filing complaints, and authorize the state government to constitute another forum in a district wherever necessary. 4. Constitution of selection committees at the state and national level, and to choose non-judicial members of redressal agencies. Consumer Welfare Fund. A Consumer Welfare Fund was instituted on the Consumer Day, March 19, 1994. The announcement of the formation of the fund was made by Civil Supplies Minister A.K. Antony while giving away the National Awards for Consumer Protection in New Delhi. The Consumer Welfare Fund consists of the amount of excise or custom duties which are not refundable to manufacturers or importers. The money thus accruing to the fund would be used for promoting the welfare of consumers, and the objective of the fund was to strengthen the consumer movement in the country and to assist voluntary organizations in spreading consumer education. Antony also formally invited applications from voluntary consumer organizations for availing assistance under the fund. The total quantum of help on and separate request should not surpass rupees 5 lakh. However, larger assistance could be considered in very exceptional cases. The application should be required to meet 10% expenditure from his own resources. In exceptional cases, this also could be relaxed.
Industrial and labor laws. As per the recommendations of National Development Council for Tourism to be accorded the status of an industry, in pursuance of these recommendations, the Ministry of Tourism has been able to secure for tourism the status of an industry in the states of Arunachal Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Himachal Pradesh, Meghalaya, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Haryana, Bihar, Tripura, Andaman and Nicobar, and Goa, while Orissa, Rajasthan, and West Bengal have declared hotel as an industry. Hence, it can be concluded that following industrial and labor laws are also applicable to tourism industry also.
Payment of Wages Act 1936, Industrial Dispute Act 1947, Industrial Standing Order Act 1946, the Minimum Wages Act 1948, Equal Remuneration Act 1976, the Factories Act 1948. Social and welfare laws, as discussed earlier, also regarding the industry status to the tourism, following social and welfare laws are also applicable. The Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, Workmen Compensation Act 1923, licenses applicable in hotel organizations, liquor license, grant of liquor license to hotels, restaurants, clubs for service liquor, registration of foreign license, Foreign Exchange Management Act 1999, lodging house license, eating house license, fire and safety license, Foreign Exchange Regulation Act 1973, swimming pool license, public amusement license, video games parlor license, acts relating to accommodation organizations, Sarai Act 1856, Rent Control Act, state specific, Public Liability Act 1991, cyber laws, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006, Information Technology Act 2000, the Sarais Act 1867. Sarais means any building used for the shelter and accommodation of the travelers and includes cases in which only part of the building is used as a sarai. It also includes a purao, place for night shelter for travelers, so far as the requirements of the Act are pertinent thereto. The Sarais Act 1867 regulate public sarai and puraos. In many cities, private hotel also covered under this law.
Department of Tourism regulations for categorization of hotels, etc. Hotels are an essential element of the tourism industry, as they provide in the complete tourism practice pass the benchmarks of services and facilities presented by the hotels. By the goal of offering modern benchmarks of services and amenities obtainable in the hotels, the Ministry of Tourism has prepared a voluntary arrangement for categorization of working hotels that will be relevant to the above classes.
Star category hotels: 5-star, 5-star deluxe, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star and 1-star. Heritage category hotels: Heritage Classic, Heritage Grand and Heritage Basics. Taxation: Central Sales Tax 1956, Income Tax Act 1961, Customs Act 1962, VAT Tax Statutory Provisions 1994. International laws related to hotels: Franchising Act, Hotel Management Contract. Laws related with monuments and sites: the Ancient Monuments and Archaeological Site and Remedies Act 1958. The ancient monument is described as any construction, formation or monument or any place of amusement or any inscription, cave, monolith or rock sculpture that is of archaeological, artistic interest or historical interest, or any leftovers them of, and includes the location of an ancient testimonial, such percentage of plot touching the location of an prehistoric memorial as might necessary for covering or fencing in or else protecting such monuments, the ways of entry to and suitable examination of a prehistoric monuments. An act to offer for protection of historical and ancient memorials and archaeological locations and leftovers of national significance for the parameters of archaeological excavation and for the safeguard of carvings, sculptures and other similar bodies. Under this Act, Government of India is assured to preserve all national monuments below the particular acts referred to above and to guarantee that all of them are appropriately maintained so that the historical and cultural heritage of India and the attractiveness and of the monuments, sculpture protected through breathless and passionate labor, craftsmanship, workmanship, and the proficiencies of the Indian architects, artists, and masons is persistent to be preserved. In order to bring the Act on par with the constitutional requirements and offering enhanced and efficient protection to the archaeological prosperity of the nation. Laws related with wildlife and environment: the Wildlife Protection Act 1972, the National Green Tribunal Act 2010, Environment Protection Act 1986, Forest Conservation Act 1980, the Wildlife Protection Act 1972. The Wildlife Protection Act formed in the year 1972 mentions to a wide bundle of laws passed in the year 1972 by the Government of India. Amongst other transformation, the Act started timetables of safeguarded animal and plant species. Shooting or harvesting these species was mostly banned. The Act offered for the safety of birds and plant, wild animals, and for complications associated therewith or subsidiary or supplementary thereto. It has 6 plants that gives fluctuating unit of security. List 1 and Part 2 of List 2 offer complete security. Offences under these are set the maximum punishments. Species registered in List 3 and List 4 are also safeguarded, but the fines are much lesser. List 5th comprises the creatures which may be hunted. The plants in List 6 are banned for agriculture and planting. The shooting to the execution specialists have the control to mix crimes under this list, that is, they levy penalties on the lawbreakers till the year April 2010. There have been 16 sentences under this act involving to the killing of tiger. It may be because of non-efficiency of the administration. The Forest Reservation Act 1980 was created on to support the preservation the country's forests. The Act precisely controls and orders the de-reservation of forests or usage of forest estate for non-forest drives exclusive of the prior authorization of central government. The Act rests down the prerequisites for the alteration of forest property for non-forest motives. The Air Prevention and Control of Pollution Act 1981. Air Control and Prevention of Pollution Act was passed in the year 1981 and modified in the year 1987 to offer for the conservation, regulate and reduction of air pollution in the country. The Environment Protection Act 1986. The Environment Protection Act 1986 was created in the year 19th November 1986 to offer for the conservation and enhancement of environment and for problems associated with the environment. There are 4 key chapters and diverse clauses under different chapters which lay down the policies, standards and act of environmental deprivations and plans for enhancement of environment and protection of human being from environmental threats problems. The National Green Tribunal Act 2010. National Green Tribunal Act was started in the year 2010 in India's legal provision of Article 21 that guarantees the residents of the country the right to a strong ecosystem under Article 2 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the European Union that supports the right to life. The tribunal himself is a superior advanced court to control the quick clearance of the event related to ecological problems concerns. Laws related with tourists. Foreigners Act 1946, Passport Act 1967. Laws related with transportation. MACT 1988, Baggage Amendment Rules 2006, Motor Vehicle Act 1988, Aircraft Act 1934, the Carriage by Air Act 1972. Criminal Acts. Indian Penal Code 1860, Criminal Procedure Code 1973, Evidence Act 1872, Indian Penal Code 1860. Indian Penal Code, created in the year 1860, is the chief criminal code of India. It is a complete code anticipated to shield all substantive sides of criminal law. Criminal Procedure Code 1973. The Code of Criminal Procedure is the foremost legislation on process for management of substantive criminal law in the country. It offers the equipments for the examination of crime, worry of suspended criminals, gathering of proof, resolve of guilt or innocence of the suspect person, and the resolving of penalty of the guilty.
Crimes against foreigners in India. Following are the examples of fierce crime touching international tourists in India. Most of the crimes happen against international tourists only. Scams relating trade of jewelries occurs in India that target overseas residents. Roaming alone in isolated zones after dark is of actual danger to foreign tourists. Police records say at least 14 foreign tourists, most of them young travelers, have disappeared from the part in recent years.
Economic conditions and unemployment also influence criminality to a considerable extent because the Canadian, British and American citizens' buying power is comparatively high compared to the overall Indian community, as they are the favorite target for theft and other severe offense. Unemployment among the youth is also cause of crime. Today, the youth indulge in crime because of their extravagant and expensive lifestyle. They believe in show-off, want to keep motorbikes, cars, costly mobile phones, want to wear branded clothes, which is not easy for unemployed youths to maintain. So, they indulge in crime and the tourists become the easy target since they are outsiders and are not familiar with the roads. Theft of camera, mobile phones, chain snatching and other valuables of tourists is becoming common these days. In the year April 1999, Swaraj Damdi, a traveler from Mauritius, was helped by a group of Indian people who later held him in 25 days of custody. They cheated him of cash amounting to $1,500, seized his traveler's check, bracelet, gold chain, wristwatch, 2 bags and suitcase. In the year 2000, 2 German tourists stood gunshot in Himachal Pradesh. after some week later, two Spanish travelers stood murdered in Himachal Pradesh by burglars.
Petty crime. Petty crime like pickpocketing, bag snatching, etc. is general in India. Robbery of foreign tourist valuables from baggage in buses and trains is usual. Tourists who are traveling solo are suffered of petty crimes like purse snatching and pickpockets. Purse snatching is usually done in the overcrowded parts or areas.
Passport theft. Stealing passports of international tourists from their baggage in buses and trains is a very common crime in India. Stealing of US passport is seen usually, especially in main tourist attraction areas. Rape and sexual assault. Events of sexual attack and rape against international visitors at famous tourist areas is rising in the country. Most of the suspected culprits are children of higher government administrators or statesmen. In the year September 1994, Gurkirat Singh Kotli, grandson of the Chief Minister Beant Singh, was alleged of kidnapping and attacking a French traveller, Katia Darnand, in Chandigarh. In the year March 2006, Bitti Mohanty, son of higher police official in Odisha, raped a German girl in the city of Alwar, Rajasthan. A Japanese lady was raped in Pushkar, Rajasthan on April 2, 2006. In June 2007, a South Korean was raped close to Manali. In September 2007, two Japanese girls were gang raped in Agra, a renowned tourist destination in India where the Taj Mahal is located. Manslaughter and murder. The following are the recounted cases of international tourists stated killed or missing in India. Name: Graham Staines, age 58, male, nationality Australian, date 22nd January 1999, circumstances: burned to death by mob, place Manoharpur, state Odisha. Timothy Staines, age 7, sex male, Australian, 22nd January 1991, burnt to death by mob, Manoharpur, Odisha. Philip Staines, age 9 years, male, Australian, 22nd January 1999, circumstances: burned to death by mob, place Manoharpur, Odisha. Michelle Blake, age 23, sex male, nationality British, 28th November 2006, circumstances: stoned to death, place Dharamshala, state Himachal Pradesh. Stephen, age 40, male, nationality British, 11th December 2006, hanged in a jungle, Roha, Maharashtra. Alina, age 24, female, nationality Russian, 8th May 2006, left dismembered on rail track, Revora, Goa. And there are so many cases in UP, Goa, Maharashtra and Himachal Pradesh. Drugs and Narcotics. Indian Tobacco Control Act 2003. Narcotic drugs and Physiotropic Substances Act 1985. North Goa police have started an initiative in seaside areas and are booking people smoking in public areas in disruption of the provisions of the Indian Tobacco Control Act 2003 that has goal at restricting smoking in public places in order to guard people from the danger of second-hand tobacco smoke.
So students, let's now summarize what we have learned in this module. There are many laws in India which affect tourism operations and activities, and one must familiarize with these laws. Various attempts have been made by the tourism industry in India to work out the feasibility of having tourism laws. However, these efforts are still in infancy stage and anything concrete has yet to emerge in this regard. Thank you.